Happy Wisdom Wednesday, everyone. So this week's book of the week is a fantastic one when it comes to meditating and, more importantly, gaining a little bit of control and influence on your mind. Now, as you can tell today, it's very orangey here in San Francisco. A friend of mine described this as a very jaundiced looking sky. And I wanted to show you this because no matter where you are, whether you're in a place like this where it's very gloomy and apocalyptic, or perhaps somewhere beautiful, your mind is going to go wherever you are. And so more importantly, what can we do ahead of time to understand how our mind functions and how we can take control of those emotions and feelings? So enough of this weather. Let's get back in the library. Much better. Now, the book of the week is one that I've had for quite some time. I actually have had this since medical school from my time at MD Anderson when I was doing research. And it's called Wherever You Go, There You Are, Mindfulness, Meditation, in Everyday Life by Jon Kabat-Zinn. And the author has a very interesting background. He's the founding director of Stress Reduction Clinic and the Center of Mindfulness in Medicine, Healthcare, and Society at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, where he's a professor of medicine. And this book was really my first introduction to meditation. And when I looked out today in this very apocalyptic weather, and of course being trapped indoors with the pandemic, there's an issue with our economy. There's many things for us to get our emotions swept up in. And so it's times like these that the ability to start practicing mindfulness and understanding what does meditation really mean has been really valuable, at least for me and my family, and I want to share that with you and your loved ones. And I think that I can introduce you to that with a few key steps in this video. And of course, as always, I recommend getting the book, but let me kind of frame it up in a way so that you can take these lessons, put them into action, and start getting started with this idea of mindfulness and meditation so that you can have more control over the emotions that you might be having, especially during these very turbulent times. Now, let's talk about a couple of things. Like, what does mindfulness mean? Because I know that word's thrown around quite a lot. Now, the simplest way to put it is that mindfulness means paying attention in a very particular way. And specifically, you do it on purpose in the very present moment. And you do this non-judgmentally. And this kind of attention nurtures and generates a lot of awareness, a lot of curiosity, and of course done so in a way that's very non-judgmental. So a lot of times when you feel yourself getting upset and getting angry, it's almost like magic when you whisper to yourself, or you point it out, I feel myself getting angry. And think about that for a moment. That's mindfulness in a really interesting way. I'm sure whether it's with a spouse or a coworker, when you're very stressed out or getting tense or angry, someone might point out like, hey, Janet, you seem like you're really angry today, or Max, you seem like you're really angry and upset. And we almost feel ourselves immediately calm down because we become conscious of this, right? We become aware. And that's what mindfulness really is. Now, there are three things that I got out of this book that I really want to share with you. Of course, there's many other things. But these are three things to kind of get you started and, more importantly, stimulate your curiosity about this. The first thing has to do a lot with the title of the book. Wherever you go, there you are. Which means there's really no running away from your problems because all the problems that end up happening really are generated within the mind, right? Of course, there's illnesses and things like that, but a lot of things based on our perception. If you look at the great books like Man's Search for Meaning by Frankl, his thing was, how do you look at suffering and add meaning to it? How do you perceive it? And so the first thing I would say is, wherever you go, there you are, is having this curiosity to really understand what is it that's bothering you, right? If you're frustrated at your job, what exactly about the job is upsetting you? Perhaps you're having issues at home with your spouse, right? Really getting curious and trying to look and diagnose it without any judgment, without anything, to say, okay, I feel like this, that's fine, but why? Right? It's this childhood curiosity that helps you get closer and closer to a solution, because on the surface we think it's one thing, but when we dig deeper down inside, we realize it's actually something else. The second thing is, if somebody takes something from you, don't let them take your mind as well. Now, especially in this political climate, economically, etc., we feel like things have been taken from us, whether it's a job, our money, our ability to go outside, different things. And the idea is, you don't want your mind to be taken as well. Meaning that you don't want someone to have emotional influence on you, to get you angry, to get you stressed out and upset. You feel more vindicated when you're able to own those things and say, someone might have taken my job away, circumstances may have done X, Y, or Z, but at the end of the day, I get to choose how I'm going to feel about it and how I'm going to perceive these things, right? Because even with something as tragic as, let's say, a job loss, right? There's ways to flip that around and say, I actually never liked that job anyway, and this allows me to spend a little bit of time with my family, and maybe think about how I can change my career to fit something that fits the family life that I want to have, right? There's always ways to ask better questions, which leads me to number 2. Asking questions will reflect the quality of your life. So the better questions you can ask yourself, again, thinking about curiosity and asking those questions will get you to those better solutions. And the third thing is, again, a lot about awareness, is taking the next step to focus on automatic responses of your mind and body in the moment. So if you're getting distracted, let's say you sat down for dinner and you have this temptation to pick up the phone and check your email, catch yourself and say, I really want to check my phone, but ask yourself, why is that? And rationalize with yourself. A lot of times with social media, we have this automatic behavior because we get used to getting that little dopamine hit. You have to remind yourself, I'm not going to feel any better by opening this thing. Let me put it down. Let me focus on the moment right now. Now, take a quick look at this video of this beautiful stream. Now, think about that stream and those rocks. What you want to get to a point in is thinking about yourself and your mind just like that rock. You're in the stream, and the water is emotions, right? Flowing around you, doing all these things. But just like those rocks in the stream, you don't get swept up in the emotion. Now, the rock doesn't ignore the water. It recognizes it's flowing around it and sees where it's going, where it's coming from. And you can recognize and be aware of the emotions that you have, the reactions you have, and see where they're going, why you're feeling that way. That's okay. It's okay to feel upset. It's okay to feel angry or depressed or happy or down or all these things. But more importantly is, how do you sit with yourself and observe yourself, the way you're feeling and the way you're thinking, and trying to understand how do you use that to influence your next action versus doing a reaction. So that's the book of the week. Take care of yourself. Be good to yourself. Be good to the people around you. And be patient. I definitely recommend getting it, and just, it has wonderful passages, a lot of beautiful lessons and whatnot. It'll help you think about the way your mind will function in these kind of crises, and more importantly, how you can start taking more control so you can influence the way you feel and thus influence the way you react. And as always, happy Wisdom Wednesday, and I'll see you next week.